Philip Kinsella is a clairvoyant, a medium, and a UFO investigator and an author. Having had many bizarre UFO paranormal experiences throughout his life, along with his identical twin brother Ronald, he began to research the phenomenon on a serious level of investigations after an alien abduction in 1989. He's also on the fight for truth, the truth about UFOs, and he joins us today. Hi, Philip.
Hello, Dean, and thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm very honoured. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Well, I had Ronald on a couple of weeks ago, and Ronald said, you know, when you get Philip on, you won't be able to tell us apart. And now I'm thinking, is this actually Ronald playing Philip, or was that Philip playing Ronald?
Oh, bless you. No, we are. You can tell the difference after a while. Yeah, there are certain differences between us both. Yes, but we are very close. We love the same films, the same music, the same art, the same everything. So it's like we're literally clones.
Right. Well, we've all suspected that there's a deception going on as far as the UFOs are concerned, involving either the government and the military or both. And we generally try and tie it in with government or military. But is this what your research indicates, or does it indicate something else?
Well, my research, has taken me into different territories of theoretical debate, as it were. But certainly there is a cover-up, and I think and feel that this cover-up, as many, I think nearly all UFO investigators agree on, is coming from much higher than governmental levels. And I believe that if you're covering something, then that doesn't come across as good. Because if you're hiding something, or you don't want the populace to know about something, it normally means that, you know, we are being protected, or that the whatever it is isn't good. So this is what led me into researching UFOs, subsequent to some experiences that I had, most notably in the winter of 1989, that at that time I couldn't explain, and I don't think anyone else can still explain to this day. So the premise of the silencing is very much evident. Now, without jumping too far ahead, I do belong to NUFORS, which is the National UFO Reporting Service here in England, that was created by Nigel Ross, and he took me on board. And we wrote a letter at the beginning of this year to a notable member within Parliament, to say to them, look, we've got a team of people. I wouldn't use the word experts, because none of us are experts in this field. We can only rely on theoretical debate. We have a team of people who, let's come together, let's put this all on the table, let's work together to try and work this out, you know, hand in glove, with all honesty, truth on the table. Got nothing back. And this is what you find continuously, that you're reaching out with your truths and with your beliefs and with many others tied to that, and all we're getting is silence. So we can see also from the media's perspective of how they illustrate the UFO phenomenon as ridiculous. And I know that I've had a number of experiences, not all of them, on national TV, where either it's live or it's pre-recorded, and both don't do you any good, because if you want to say something, it's edited out. And if it's live, then what happens is that you're overridden, you're shut up very quickly. So that kind of like showed me that there was a very stringent control within the media establishment. And of course, as we all know, the subject of UFOs is highly controversial, but the way that the media and the governmental and beyond government deal with it is even more of a travesty, because they dangle the carrot and say, look, this has happened, and then they throw in the spanner into the works and say, oh, ignore it, turn the other way, or it's something else. So we're still no nearer from, the Roswell inception,
Right.
which had occurred. We're no nearer in fathoming just exactly what we're dealing with. We know it's real. It's very real. It exists. But it's like chasing shadows.
Yeah. Well, when I interviewed Stephen Bassett from Paradigm Research earlier this year, and of course Stephen is fighting for disclosure, he talked about the role of the media in dumbing down the UFO truth, but their power, I guess, has become a little bit diluted since the the introduction of the internet. And Stephen was basically saying since the mid-90s, the power of the media has, kind of diluted a little bit because of that. And now people are able to, get on the internet, create their own shows, and kind of get the truth out there. But I mean, they're still fighting a pretty powerful, umbrella media conglomerate, I
Yes.
guess. But it's still tough, but it's not as tough as it was.
No, and what we have to be careful for is the disinformation and the stuff that's planted in certain sectors online or wherever. And that's something that we have to be very careful about. But I think drawing back to the UFO subject, which is what we're talking about here, because the psychic is I say that I'm a clairvoyant medium, but basically I think we're all psychic because we have a brain that has a networking system to consciousness that operates through and facilitates through the biological form. So I've tended to try to look at it in a scientific manner, although I'm not a scientist, I'm a layman. But certainly with UFO phenomena, perhaps we're dealing with a situation which goes beyond what most people would believe as credibility, and filters into areas which might frighten them. And I know that our understanding of alien contact, as we call it, is very much a reality, but operates on a very different premise from the initial stages of the UFO encounter itself. So I believe there are two parts to this, and that the phenomena seems to integrate on a very personal level with the person that they're either abducting or connecting with. So I think we're dealing with a multifaceted, and I will call it a problem because it is a problem. And the problem being is that the only people that are talking about it is like me and many other good people like yourself, advocates in bringing this information to the masses in the way that you do. So I believe that it's a highly complex process, and one that's not easily to be categorized or put into a box, because everyone's trying to put it into one box and make it fit. It's just not going to fit in there. And as we know with the phenomena itself, it's not just the viewing of a UFO or the experiencing of some type of interdimensional connection. It also can lead to a plethora of paranormal experiences, and trying to explain that is like a nightmare. So I believe that someone somewhere has some idea of what we could possibly be dealing with, and that someone somewhere has instigated a program of denial and also what I would call a cleanup operation. And that's been going on, that's been evident for decades. So nothing much has changed there. But the beautiful thing is that we are pushing forward, trying to formulate new conclusions, new theories, new dynamic models of what we could be dealing with. And certainly with regards, and may I use the word, the Greys, because they were the ones that had been instrumental within the 1989 event that I had experienced, and which I suffered for within the media outlets back then, the national media. But it's they are the ones that I primarily focus on, because I can only talk from, if I dare say, use the word experience.
Right.
So I think when you've had an experience, when it has affected you, and people are telling you that it's all in the mind, that it's fantasy. Well, as I said before, I wanted to go into that and to see whether or not this is real. And if it's not real, why then is the individual left with physical marks after the initial episode had occurred? So I believe it's really exciting for researchers, because it's almost like being a kid in a sweet shop. You have a taste of something, it wasn't very nice, but it's like it left a bittersweet taste in my mouth, and I want to go for it now because I want to find out what that is. And this is where this has led me after all these years later, in trying to fathom out what we are dealing with. And I've met some, and I'm connected with some amazing people that I'm so honored and so, awed, which is wonderful.
Yep.